Hey everybody.
Hey guys.
This is Frank.
And I'm Dan.
And this is Thank God I'm Atheist.
The podcast.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, isn't that?
That is nice. Which is actually the podcasty version of Thank God I'm Atheist.com, which is Dan's little bloggy.
Little blog. Haven't done much with it lately. Thought we'd throw some voices up there.
Yeah, it might be nice. Post some stuff up on.
Doesn't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
We put a little bit of vocal action into it.
Yeah. What's a nice little ditty we got going on, Dan? Where did this come from?
Oh, this is from the Salt Lake's own Red Rock Hot Club, which is a fantastic gypsy jazz band local to our area.
Hey, that's nice, and they're letting us use some of their music.
Yeah.
That's
Thanks,
awesome,
guys.
isn't it?
Rich Daigle. Thanks, Rich Daigle.
Is that a real name?
Yeah, he's the guitar player we were just listening to.
Okay.
He's fantastic.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we're doing a podcast, Dan.
I know. Look at that.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for a while.
Yeah. What? Why are we doing it, Frank?
Well, that's a really good question, and one that we were asking each other earlier. But I think that the bug, because we talked about it for a long time. But I think
seminal moment,
the seminal
if you will.
moment was our little moment on Utah FM a few months ago.
Yeah, back in May.
Because we did Rapture Watch on that little radio station.
Do y'all kids out there remember when Harold Camping predicted that we was all gonna die, except for them good folks what got pulled up into heaven using God's Hoover?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
God's Hoover.
Yeah, I figure God just turns on the vacuum and sucks up the ones that he likes, like moths.
Yeah. That's as good of an explanation as any, in my mind. But just the good ones.
Only the good ones, yeah. If you get to...
It's the reverse of what you want to do with a vacuum.
Yeah,
you want to
that's
suck
true.
up the bad things.
Right, yeah.
So God's confused.
God does not know how to use his vacuum cleaner.
No.
That's why he leaves it to Heavenly Mother.
Oh, Heavenly Mother.
to do the vacuuming in heaven.
Yeah, she's nice.
She is nice.
Well, So
fortunately, we were able to survive the camping's apocalypse intact.
By the skin of our teeth.
And unfortunately, all of his followers were not sucked into heaven.
Right. Yeah. And then, of course, as we all know, those of us who followed the whole Harold Camping thing, there was supposed to be another day.
It was like
recently.
It was like last.
It was a total non-event. It was always a non-event, but like this was like a real non-event. Like nobody was even paying attention to the poor guy this time.
Well, no, I think he's lost all but 6 of his followers at this point.
He's like the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah, only he's the 90-year-old man who cried. It's coming in my day. I promise you, it's coming. You rapscallions. You'll get your comeuppance when I'm in heaven and you're still happily on earth.
Yeah, doing where you want to be in the first place.
Right. Oh, except that there would be earthquakes and stuff.
Yeah, but
which there was one.
Shit happens.
Just the other day in San Francisco.
That's true.
A whopping 4 on the Richter scale.
I know. Have you heard from Dave?
Yeah, Dave said this is our friend Dave who was in San Francisco
and he's from here.
Yeah.
So not used to the earthquake thing.
But he just said that he thought that the loading dock at the store was like a truck pulled up to it or something.
Like, that's how impressive of an earthquake it was.
Yeah. It was terrifying.
Huh. Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, there's been earthquakes.
Yeah.
And what else has been going on in the world, Dan?
The gnashing of teeth and the tearing of hair.
Really?
Well, no.
Oh, okay.
Probably not.
All
I
right.
don't know. Some people gnash their teeth.
Who's
gnashing these days? You want to go into a gnash?
Yeah, I've got some stuff.
Somebody's got their panties in a twist about something.
Well, the first thing that really caught my eye today in the news was, of course, it's the Salt Lake Tribune reporting on. The headline just says "Contraception for Wildlife."
Yes, please.
Yeah. Apparently, this is the new course that the Bureau of Land Management is here in Utah is taking. in order to curb the out of control wild horse and burro population.
The wild horse. And the horses say, nay, we won't. Oh, my gosh.
Dan.
I can't believe I just did that.
Wow, that was...
Edit that out.
No, it's all staying in. That's the rule.
Grr.
No editing. If you say something stupid, you're stuck with it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't... It was a pun.
It was just a pun.
It was a...
We can all survive a pun, people.
We just need to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, and I'm like, I think of that, and I think about Utah, and I'm flabbergasted that they would even consider contraception.
Utah Mormons aren't against contraception, are they? They're okay with it.
Are they?
I think there are some Mormons who aren't, and certainly there's a sense in the Mormon community that you should have as many kids as you can possibly have for whatever reason. But
yeah, absolutely. I have to say, I think there's something in the bishop's handbook against contraception.
Huh.
I mean, I don't know. You're the one sitting in front of, well, we're both sitting in front of computers, but you're sitting in front of one that, you could actually just do some Googling. But yeah, they're totally thinking about birth control for wildlife. It seems to be, well, here, let me just... It wasn't because we want to start doing it in Utah now. It's because we wanted to control all things that are administered to wildlife. I don't even understand what that means. And we wanted to be ready if we needed to do it at some point. Oh, okay. So they're saying that they're getting ready. But how do they do it? Is it
basically they just go
the
they just go up to the female animal,
mm-hmm.
and they say, "Baby, I'm just not ready for you to have any more children. Why don't you just take these pills?"
Well, that could be one approach.
Come on, baby.
But I'm just
I don't know.
confused.
Well, and you got to think that if they're airlifting tainted food, that somehow these animals are going to overdose, or you're going to have male horses growing teats and stuff.
Well, I just question the whole thing because there seems to be so many people against wild horses in the West, sort of in the sort of the rancher community and in the, that sort of world where they're just they seem to be so adamant against wild horses, and now they're introducing contraception. I mean, don't these horses have the same
reproductive rights?
Yeah, don't they? Well, no, I'm talking in sort of in kind of a God sort of way that there's little horses in heaven that need to come down to earth.
Yeah.
And
that's true. Oh, my sister-in-law, when she had her last kid, don't worry, the BLM's not forcing her to take contraception, but Frank had a look in his eye. She's had some difficulty with her kids. She has 3 kids now. Her first kid was a bit of a trick. He's ADD, and he's not an easy kid to raise. And she had her 3rd kid, and we were asking her, is this it for you? And she was in a moment when she was really having trouble with kids, and she said, well, I just get the feeling that there's one more up there for me.
Mm.
And I went, well, what do you say to that? But
you can't argue with it.
But it's
her feeling.
It's what about you just choosing whether you want another kid or not?
Yeah, how about just I don't know, going over your finances?
Right.
I mean, that's a great way to decide whether you should have another kid.
Yeah, but no, that takes the love out of the equation and puts logic into it.
Yeah, which wouldn't want that. But anyways, this is a great paragraph. In Bountiful, with the approval of the city council and mayor, wildlife officials have reduced deer numbers by shooting more than a dozen in heavily populated areas. It's a controversial program. Some residents call the deer urban rats, but others enjoy having wildlife in the neighborhood. While it may be nice to have big game animals in your yard, they can get expensive when they break fences, eat gardens, and total vehicles in accidents, blah, 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 blah. And then it says, deer contraception seems like a good idea, but Clark says it would require the same effort as elimination.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It kind of would.
It would.
But here's a question. elimination. If they eliminate the deer, do they eat them? They shouldn't let it go to waste.
Well, yeah. Hopefully, it's hunters.
Deer is food.
Yeah, the vegetarian says, I hope that they're at least eating them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it says here that they can't put the contraception into the food supply.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because then other animals would eat it, and it might get into our water,
and then
we're taking it,
and then we're not,
and then I'm prevented from having a deer.
What if you eat a deer that's had contraception?
I think they just give it I think we're thinking of this wrong.
Condoms?
I think it's IUDs. IEDs. What is it called?
It's not an improvised explosive device.
No, it's not IEDs. It's IUD. Isn't that what it's called?
I think so.
The little plasticky thing.
I think they just put it up in the cervix.
Yeah. Just ram that home.
I don't know. Because it says that they inject them with something.
Oh, it's injected.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do like the idea of just condoms.
Yeah. Honestly, that's the responsible thing to do.
That's what they should be doing. Well, what else is going on in the world, Dan? I think we belabored that one.
Yeah. Okay. On more national news. I've got a article here from the Deseret News. This is the church-owned. Are they still church-owned?
The Deseret News?
Yeah.
Yes. Indirectly. Owned
by the Mormon Church indirectly.
It's owned by one of the profit arms of the church. And the money profit.
Right. All the arms of the church are profit arms.
And
if you spell it
the wrong way. Yeah. Right. It's Bonneville Communication.
Right.
Which owns
sort of
Deseret News
the de facto mouthpiece of the church.
Yeah.
If you're not careful.
Yeah.
And so they've got an article that's about praying for President Obama. And it's the subheading of the article says, prayer in politics, piety or pandering, which, can I just say, that's some lovely alliteration. Thanks, Deseret News. But yeah, I mean, they're talking about, a group, the Christian nonprofit Presidential Prayer Team. Skunk-a-kung.
That's a lot of P's.
Shouldn't the Presidential Prayer Team have it just sounds like the Super Friends or something.
Yeah.
Presidential Prayer Team.
I'm actually really glad that you have that microphone because I'd be popping my peas. I'd be popping my peas all over the place with this microphone.
Prayer and politics. So the Presidential Prayer Team is celebrating their 10th year of, quote, encouraging, inspiring, and practicing prayer on behalf of our president, nation's leaders, and our troops. Which doesn't surprise me remotely that this was begun during Lil Bushy's reign. Right. But it does kind of surprise me that it's continued.
Well, it seems like if there was a president who needed the power of prayer, that needed a nation praying for him.
Right. But doesn't it make you wonder what their prayers sound like? Please bless this President Obama, that he will stop his evil ways, that he will learn that he needs to get his government out of my pockets, and that he will stop being
black.
Anyway.
Well, yeah, you were.
I was gonna do it, and then I wussed out. Are we gonna offend people on this?
I think, yeah.
I think we shouldn't worry about it, right?
I don't. Yeah, I think if they're listening, they need to know.
Okay, so what I was going to say, ladies and gentlemen, is in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Oh, that is offensive, Dan.
Yeah, good. Okay, so now that we've gotten that out of the way, yeah, there's parody on our show, on our podcast,
and that's what that was.
Yeah, that was a parody of prayer.
Yeah. Oh, it was
of a prayer.
Yeah.
Not parity, as in
no
equality and even-handedness.
No, dear God,
which there won't be much of.
None.
But yeah, I do wonder about. It does make me think about the scene in Fiddler on the Roof when they ask the rabbi if there's a prayer for the Tsar. Is there a prayer for the Tsar? Because he's saying there's a prayer for everything, and he says, "Yes, there's a prayer for the Tsar. Lord, bless and keep the Tsar far away from us." I think in the movie he actually did it with that sort of Like
he had a twinkle in his eye, if I remember.
Yeah,
correctly.
he did it. But
he
it
was
also
making a little joke.
Yeah, but it also I think he delivered it with that nice sort of Yiddish comedy tour. Like,
oh, I see. Yeah,
like ending. Ba-da-day, ska-ba-da-doo. He had that sort of punchline.
Yeah.
Borscht belt punchline thing going on.
I remember it that way. I mean, I don't know if it was that way, but I'll remember it that way with you, Dan.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
What do you got?
I've got, well, first of all, because it is the Deseret News, this is the headline. And this is not this. I did not find this in the part of the Deseret News that is like really intended for Mormons. It was not the church news section, or I don't even know if they call it that anymore.
By the way, I'm going to interject here and just make it clear to our non-Utah listeners that the Deseret News, it's not the Desert News, even though Utah is a desert, and that would make sense. Deseret is a lovely Mormon word meaning
it has to do with beehives.
It's something to
No, it does.
It's like
it has to do with beehives.
It's great. It means Zion without quite co-opting that.
No, well, yeah. I mean, it has that going for it, but it has to do with all the accoutrement, if you will, of beekeeping.
Really?
Yeah. The Deseret is everything needed to keep bees. And so, since
it was also the original state, it was going to be the state name of our fair state. Did you know that?
I did know that, and
that didn't work out.
That didn't work out. The Congress didn't like that idea.
No, they didn't.
Very wisely. It's a dumb word.
Yeah,
with Book of Mormon roots. But anyways, but because it is the Deseret News, which I think we already mentioned is indirectly owned by the LDS Church. The headline actually says a testimony and a Mormon temple built on building blocks.
What kind of building blocks would that be?
They were Legos. It's absolutely fantastic. It has to do with a primary president, which is the youth, children's, not even youth's or children's organization.
Right.
It's like Sunday school.
So church is trying to ruin Legos for the kids as well?
Well, yeah, it's a primary president who had asked someone in her ward to build a temple out of Legos for sharing time.
Oh, that's sweet.
Which is, yeah. And so it says that she was expecting a structure that would fit inside of a shoebox.
Sure.
Probably, as you would, right? What she got was a 4-foot by 4-foot bountiful Utah temple that takes several men to lift, according to the Deseret News. And it includes more than 13,000 Lego blocks.
Of course.
And it's a model built with skill and testimony.
Oh.
And this is in the Deseret News. Like I said, it's not, as far as I could tell, it was not in the section that is actually like unabashedly Mormon.
Right. There's a weekly just church news.
Yeah, the church
section.
Yeah.
Called Church News, I think. Isn't it?
Well, that's the publication. I think it's like called especially for LDS or something stupid like that.
Right.
But anyway,
the word Deseret does mean honeybee.
It just means honeybee.
In the Book of Mormon.
Oh, I thought it had more to do with more than that.
Yeah, well.
Okay.
The Deseret seal has a Mormons like bees.
They like bees. It's a symbol of industry.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody buzzing around the hive, doing their part, taking as many wives as they can.
They do like that a lot. And according...
Although bees only have one wife. It's one wife and a billion husbands.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sorry. I don't know if they were going that far.
No.
With the whole...
They weren't carrying the metaphor quite as far as I'm taking it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But anyways, it's a... It's absolutely... It's a remarkable article, and you should check it out. The pictures, which sadly, because this is a podcast, although we could sync up some pictures.
I guess we could link to it.
No, we can sync up some photos.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Podcast technology, Dan.
Holy cow.
Yeah. If you're looking at the pictures right now, it means that we figured out how to do that.
Wouldn't that be neat?
Yeah.
We should do that.
We need to do that. It's absolutely fantastic. You'll notice that it's, well, first of all, it's huge. So... Anyways, that's one of mine.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. What? That's news. Is that news?
It's in the desert news.
I just don't. I mean, a guy spent too much on Legos.
It's news, Dan.
Okay.
It's news.
No, I mean, there's Lego. Maybe he can get it into like Legoland in the religious section.
Do they have a religious section?
He can
They
start one.
should.
They should.
They should have some mosques.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Get some minarets in there.
Yeah.
Have little Lego people in burqas.
Yes.
Isn't that great?
That
I saw two ladies in my neighborhood walking down the street, and I was like, oh, they're in their Halloween costumes. And then I was like, oh shit, they're just Muslims.
Dan.
What? They a floor to ceiling, by which I mean head to toe, like black gown thing. It looked like a witch costume, and then I was like, oh no, that's just her suffering for her religion.
Religious attire. Now, Dan,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna I don't know what to think about hijabs and whatnot, because Western women who convert to Islam talk about sort of this relief of no longer having to put up this show, this just totally superficial and show that's about beauty and what's on the outside instead of what's on the inside. And when I hear it phrased like that, and I've heard it phrased from like people who grew up Muslim who didn't even convert,
Right.
I kind of like we should all wear burqas.
Okay, here's my thinking on this. I think it is an interesting concept to note how objectified, how women become objectified in modern American culture, and how sexualized their look has become. And maybe that's a problem, and maybe it isn't. But I think the whole question is, A, should we be regulating it? B, why can't women who feel this way just start wearing more clothes without a religious...
secular burqa?
Sure.
I kind of butchered the pronunciation of that. But
Pronunciation?
yeah.
But I mean, the whole point is, like, if you feel that way, that's awesome. Just fucking start wearing the clothes and don't worry about the religion. You don't need a religion to guide you in that way.
No, that's true. That's true.
So, yeah. So
I'm just saying don't diss the burqa.
no, I diss the burqa.
I diss the burqa, the hijab.
Well,
just the simple headscarf.
Even that, when it's mandated, is a problem.
But see, that's what's interesting is, I have a little Muslim student.
Sure.
And I shouldn't refer to her as a little Muslim student.
Well, all your students are little.
They are little. Anyways, her parents, and this I'm sure is largely due to the fact that she's in a Western country, but she doesn't want to wear one.
Right.
And her parents don't make her.
Okay. Great.
And yet she still practices and she still, engages with her culture in all the other ways that she can.
Sure.
But she has chosen not to put on a hijab.
Yeah, but she's in Salt Lake City. She is a Muslim in Salt Lake City.
No, I know. And that's what I'm saying.
If she were a Muslim in, a Muslim state,
well, yeah,
she would be beaten by her her family
true.
for this. Like, this is the problem.
No,
and the closer you get to mandating something, the closer someone gets to being beaten for going against it.
Yeah, that's true.
I just have a problem with that.
I don't. I think that people should all wear burqas, just like I said.
I think that nations should make people wear the national hat.
Everyone.
Everyone has to wear it.
If everyone has to wear it, then it's fair.
If you're from here, you must wear the national hat.
It's like France. They're saying nobody wears a hijab in public.
Right.
Well, everyone wears a stupid hat.
Everyone has to wear this hat.
A specific hat?
Right, yeah. And it's like a 10-year or an 8-year term for each hat, and then there's an election for the new hat. And then there's a and then like
That's absolutely absurd.
Some rogue country will like come out and they'll be like, we're doing shoes. Screw the hat. We don't do the hat. We do shoes.
Those decadent Americans with their hat.
They waltz in defiantly into the UN with shoes, with orange shoe with green stripe. Yes, that's what we do.
I love the idea of campaigning for a hat. For a hat campaigning.
Right, yeah.
Is it the manufacturer of the hat?
It's the designer of the hat.
It's the designer of the hat who campaigns on behalf of their hat.
Right. Mondo from Project Runway, season whatever, has a very plausible American hat design.
What is it?
I'm
you're
theorizing
You're
here.
theorizing. I thought he had a hat
no.
that was the obvious choice.
I'm saying he's running his hat for national hat.
I love it. Is he ready for a national campaign, though?
I don't think so. And here's a real problem, is that he's using some of his Mexican influence, and I think that's going to hurt him.
Yeah.
Illegal
aliens should not be pushing their hats on the rest of us.
Well, they shouldn't even be allowed to have our hat.
No.
They're illegal. They need to wear the Mexican hat.
They can wear a knockoff. No.
Absolutely not.
No.
And if we catch them wearing our hat, we will force them to put on their hat.
They need a Mexican hat. Well, they have a Mexican hat. I'm pretty sure there's already a national Mexican hat, Dan.
Yeah.
No, there is. They don't like it in Mexico City.
No,
the cosmopolitan areas in Mexico do not like
nobody
the Mexican
likes
hat,
that.
But they
hat.
already have a Mexican hat.
There's a city somewhere called Mexican Hat. Where's that? Is that in Canada?
Mexican hat?
Uh-huh.
There's a place called Mexican. I think it's called Medicine Hat.
Well, there's that too.
There's Mexican hat?
There's Mexican Hat, Utah.
It's called Sombrero.
Mexican Hat, Utah. It exists. I just looked it up.
They should change their town to Sombrero. Sombrero, Utah.
Oh, look.
It was originally called Sombrero.
It's named after a rock that looks a little bit like a sombrero.
God. I wish it had been called Sombrero.
I just think that everyone in that town should be mandated to wear the hat.
That is a place that has to wear hats.
Everyone has to wear the hat.
Yeah. I would say probably like on, I don't know, homecomings. It's probably near mandatory.
I doubt it.
Mexican hat high.
Yeah.
Population 20 people probably.
The population of Mexican Hat, Utah
I've never heard of this place. Where is it?
88.
88. And it's what county?
San Juan County, Utah.
San Juan. Oh, it's way down there.
Down in the bottom right-hand corner of the state.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Four Corners.
Yeah, just a little in.
Okay. All right.
So we'll have to go there next time we go to Lake Powell or something.
Okay.
Hooray.
Deal.
Okay. You ever been to Lake Powell?
I never have.
Okay. So what do you got? You got a thing?
Was it my turn?
Oh, no. I don't know. Is it my turn?
I can go. I've got a good one.
Oh, yeah, do it.
But
wait, do we want to close on that one, or do we want... Let's close on that one.
Oh, okay. We'll close on this one.
Okay,
so what you've got?
It's another desert news thing. Romney versus Obama. Who do black Mormons support?
Oh, that is so desert news. Yeah. Okay.
But the question, now what makes this juicy for us may not ring through to people who don't know Mormonism as well as we do.
Well, explain why it's juicy.
Because there shouldn't be any black Mormons.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's that point.
It's just, because Mormonism has a long history of horrible racism, including, well, not at the beginning. Actually, at the very beginning, I should correct this. At the very beginning,
Joseph Smith baptized his slaves, right?
He baptized.
I just made that up. That was
not true.
Made up.
But Joseph Smith did give the priesthood to a couple of black men.
That's true. I heard that. And
then that did not fly under Brigham Young's regime.
No, because he was a racist Canadian, wasn't he? Brigham Young?
He wasn't Canadian.
He was born in Canada.
What?
I read a biography on Brigham Young when I was in the 3rd grade. And I'm almost positive. No, maybe he was from Ohio.
Yeah, I don't think he's Canadian, but I'm going to look it up.
Did he live in Canada at one point? Did he serve a mission in the early days of the church in Canada?
They all served a mission.
I think we have Canada to blame for Brigham Young.
Don't you dare.
I'm pretty sure, Dan.
That is blasphemy.
I'm pretty sure. I know that there was someone. Where was he born?
In Whittingham, Vermont.
In Vermont?
Yeah. We have them to blame.
Did he ever live in Canada?
He traveled to Upper Canada as a missionary.
Oh, that's what it was.
So
I was in the 3rd grade when I read it, so I'll blame.
Anyway, the Vermontian, Mr. Young, not only didn't... I think he took away the priesthood from one black man who came out to Salt Lake City with him. think so. Don't quote me on that. But do quote me on this. He made the Utah Territory a slave territory.
He did?
Yeah. I don't know that there were many slaves, but officially this was a slave territory. And then it was strictly forbidden for black men to get the priesthood till like way past when it should have been, till the 1970s.
Late 70s.
It was like 75 or something like that.
I want to say 78.
Oh no, you're right. You're right.
Facts,
you're right.
I want to say 78.
I think it was after, it was in my lifetime that happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were really late to the game on that. So the fact is that it's almost self-loathing for a black person to even be in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
That's touchy, Dan.
I feel that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, the whole article. We don't even need to bring up the article because the main line out of the Romney versus Obama, who do black Mormons support, the big line is the consensus among black Mormons is that there is no consensus. Thank you, Deseret News.
That's a non-story.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be in there.
They did a great non-story there.
It's not Cain. Between Romney and Obama, they didn't pick Cain.
Over Abel.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a joke there, people.
Yeah.
These are the jokes.
All right. You don't have anything else over there?
No, I'm done.
You're done?
Yeah.
Well, mine is international news, and I feel that it's just worth bringing up. It's not news of...
Hang on, let me just do this. International news with Frank Feldman.
Libya will be moderately Muslim with legalized polygamy, leader says. Now, I found this in the Salt Lake Tribune, but it's an Associated Press article.
Can I be moderately Muslim? I thought you weren't allowed to be moderately Muslim. But I guess as a state.
As a state.
How do you pull that off? How do you be moderately Muslim as a state? Like, they'll kind of... Is it just the polygamy thing? Is that all the deal?
I don't know, but I think the polygamy thing is wild.
Well, you know what, though? My take on polygamy... And what's interesting is that I break with most Utahns and most Mormons on this point. I think it should be legal. I don't personally feel like anybody should practice it.
Really?
Well, I don't know that they shouldn't. But I mean, it takes a pretty special grouping of people to pull it off. Yeah. But
you hear stories.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
Tales
absolutely.
Of,
I met a woman who was married to, who was in a polygamous family. Yeah. She was a wife of a man who had other wives, and she was delighted by it. And she wrote a book about how happy she was. And I say, more power to you, lady. That should be legal. Because this is just, I don't see why a contract between two or three people. I mean, all it is a legal contract saying we want to share all of our stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we commit to sort of taking care of each other.
And I mean, there's the whole argument of if it's in the light of day, it's easier to like root out the bad.
Absolutely. I mean, it would still be illegal to marry a 14-year-old.
Right, of course.
Although I think that might be legal in Utah.
14?
Yeah, like with parental consent. I think it might be legal at 14.
Are you sure? I don't think that's the case. I think it's 16. I think that's why.
All right.
I don't know.
Checking. I think you might be right.
If it was 14, they changed it.
According to the Wikipedia, which is the source of all truth in the universe.
This is, yeah.
18, 16 with parental consent, 15 with court approval.
Wow. Well, the courts probably don't give a lot of permission to polygamists.
I hope they
don't. Well, they're
give,
also not marriages, so it's...
I hope they don't give a lot of, like, approval to any 14-year-old.
15.
Oh, 15-year-old. Sorry, I was just looking at New Hampshire, who 18 is their marriageable age, but 14 for males and 13 for females in cases of special cause with parental consent and court permission.
Special cause.
I don't know. Shame on you, New Hampshire.
Weird.
Shame on you.
That's old-timey.
Yeah,
they're an old state.
That is
They've
from...
been around since
they just
the
haven't bothered to change it since Home on the Prairie days. Not that they're prairie.
They aren't.
No.
No, they're
not meaning to imply that.
I've never been, but I've never imagined it to be prairie-like. In fact, the exact opposite. Yeah. So, anyways, I just the whole polygamy thing. I just think that that's so interesting. That's. I mean, I wonder if that's the headline. Just in. I need to look more into this story. But did the Tribune just pick up on that part of the story and put it in their headline?
Yeah, that's probably exactly what happened. They're like, hey, this would be of interest to Utahns.
Yeah.
It's got the word polygamy right in the title.
Yeah.
And moderately Muslim.
Moderately.
I want to moderately be a member of other religions. I'm moderately Jewish. In that I like challah and latkes.
Do you know what moderately means?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you'd still have to be Jewish. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like, if you're moderately anything, you still have to be that thing.
I don't know. I can be moderately displeased, and it's just sort of mildly so. It's not all the way that thing. You don't know. I'm moderately Jewish, and you just can't accept it. Why are you so moderately anti-Semitic?
Why am I anti-moderate Semitism?
Yeah.
Wait, that doesn't make sense either.
Yeah. None of it makes sense.
All right. I'm assuming you have something else.
Oh, I don't. Well, I mean, you know what I wanted to talk about?
What's that?
There's this movie. We're now switching gears.
Oh,
this was going to be abrupt.
Okay, so that was a good segue, Dan.
I'm gonna
telling us that it is a segue.
Right. I'm because I was like slamming on the brakes and turning hard left. So
yeah. Okay, that's good.
Anyway,
we're gonna have to work on that in the future. Our segues. But anyways,
I was looking at a thing. There was a dust up on one of my friend's Facebook feeds about the film Anonymous. Mm-hmm. Have you seen anything about the film Anonymous?
I've heard of a couple things. I really haven't.
It was recently. The last thing I read about it was that it was pulled from wide release. It's now only going to limited release.
Why?
Oh, apparently
too controversial.
No, I don't think people are that interested in the controversy. Okay. But the reason I wanted to bring it up. Okay, so it's about this notion that's been running around since like the mid 20th century that this guy,
long time ago.
Yeah, ancient, that this guy named William Shakespeare did not write any of the plays that are attributed to him, and they were instead written by Edward de Vere, the 16th Earl of Oxford.
I've never even heard of this guy.
Or 14th.
De Vere?
Edward de Vere, yeah. Did
he have a wife that made clothes out of coats out of Dalmatians?
That's DeVille.
Oh,
Cruella DeVille. Yeah. Wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Yeah, I didn't really.
Coats made out. Okay. He may have had a coatier wife. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But probably not, because he was aristocracy, whereas this Will Shakespeare guy wasn't. And so the theory goes that because Will Shakespeare wasn't overly formally educated, even though he did go to school.
Right.
And because he wasn't of noble birth, it was more culturally acceptable for him to have written because nobility theater was considered.
Oh, it was low.
It was very low.
Yeah.
To the point of like they had only recently stopped prosecuting actors for heresy.
Right.
Something like that.
Right.
Yeah, it was considered evil for a lot of history. So the theory is that this uneducated Will Shakespeare character could never have written these amazing, beautiful plays. And so obviously it had to be somebody else, but who? And then they started to look into all of these different educated people, the blue bloods.
So they're really they're really trying to make this
they're
work.
Digging in. And so theories start popping up. So some people posted the theory, or forwarded the theory that it was actually Queen Elizabeth herself that was writing these plays.
Wow.
Which makes the problem of the plays that were written after her death a little bit tricky, but that's okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
So, the De Vereians, as they're fondly known, found this guy, Edward de Vere, who was very well educated, who was a good writer in letters, etc., is my understanding.
Okay.
Maybe I made that one up, but not most of this.
Well, good.
But he was, I mean, it was things like he visited Denmark, and then, 6 months later, Hamlet came out, and he actually went to Italy, and suddenly all, Two Gentlemen of Verona came out and all. So, like, there's all of these really interesting coincidences that started lining up, and suddenly people were like, well, hey, maybe that makes sense.
Okay.
And then it became like, how many more lines can we draw? And it became a big deal. So this movie, Anonymous, is about Edward de Vere actually being the one who writes Shakespeare.
Oh.
And there's a big kerfuffle about it. And I read an interesting article that basically just said, you know what? Basically, all they're doing is making every English teacher, giving them a hard time, because now they're going to have all these snot-nosed kids coming up and talking about De Vere like they know what they're talking about and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But the reason that I brought that up for our purposes,
sure,
because I haven't even seen the film. I intend to, but the reason I brought it,
pre-review.
Yes, it's a
preview.
Okay. Yeah, is that the whole De Verean thing is super interesting.
Okay.
And like compelling. The evidence or the facts that they line up.
Conspiracy theory, though.
Well, it is a conspiracy theory, but it's really interesting, and they draw a lot of lines. Really, really cool.
Okay.
However, none of it, if viewed through the lens of logic, amounts to actual evidence.
Right.
And I think that's one of the problems that we deal with in our society, is this willingness to go to a place and really live there. Go to a belief system and really inhabit it.
Yeah.
Without evidence.
Why are they so dead set on this? I just don't understand why it matters.
Well,
I mean, I don't want to be that person who's like, "Oh, why does it matter?" But like, why does it matter?
Well, because it totally changes the words of the plays.
Oh.
No, it doesn't matter.
No.
I mean, the long and the short of it, the truth of the matter is that it doesn't matter at all, except that a bunch of people in Stratford-upon-Avon would lose their livelihood if suddenly...
Oh, are these all people who live in De Vere Town or whatever?
In Oxford?
In Oxford?
Well, he was the Earl of Oxford. I don't know if that's where he was from.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I doubt that there's any De Vere industry right now.
What do these people look like? I'm just curious. Like, do they look like raving lunatics?
No. There are really serious scholars. Raving lunatics. Yeah, raving.
Raving is the correct.
Yeah. But no, there are very serious scholars who are working on this. There are some very smart people. I've got one friend on Facebook. I've got a couple friends on Facebook who are just completely adamant about De Vere. It is definitely De Vere. And, these are great, interesting arguments, but none of them are evidence.
Do these people like Pepsi or Coke? I'm really just like...
No, it's who made the Pepsi or the Coke.
Yeah.
Honestly, if it changes your view of the plays, then you're that much stupider. And to me, it seems centered around a snobbery, really.
That they're somehow smarter than...
No, that somehow someone who wasn't educated can't write something pretty.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's just like this.
Well, I mean, I have to say I don't know a lot about Shakespeare's life, but you mentioned that he was educated.
Some, just not a lot. He was. He lived in the sticks out on Stratford-upon-Avon is a tiny little town,
right?
And he was the son of a glover.
Okay. And
eventually they managed to gain a family crest. They gained nobility.
Oh. And
Shakespeare died a wealthy man, very, very rich man. But there are weird questions and stuff. There's not a lot of documentation to help one way or the other. But it's just it's kind of a stupid thing to go to. As is most conspiracy theory. I mean, if you see evidence to believe something, Great. You've got a hypothesis.
Mm-hmm.
Work off of that and see if you can build it into a theory and then perhaps prove it. Great. But if you don't even have enough to make it a true hypothesis, if all you've got is an awesome possibility, well, we could do that all day.
Yeah.
Lincoln wasn't Lincoln. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
He wasn't. He was from Montana and not Indiana or wherever he was from.
Illinois.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. The Lincoln State.
Indiana, the Lincoln State. You know. He was born under a log in Indianapolis, I think. I'm pretty sure. I heard something about
also,
a log.
You're working on the theory that if you just say it enough, it makes it true.
It works so well.
Yeah.
If I say it enough, and if I get enough other people to say the same thing.
So he was what? Lincoln was too what in order to be from Illinois?
Too tall.
He was too tall? Oh.
Have you ever seen Illinoisans?
Yeah.
They're tiny.
Ah, I bet they didn't have access to
Richard
good
Daley, have you
nutrition,
seen that guy?
right?
He's like a midget.
I don't know. Indianans strike
I've
me
never
as
seen
short
Richard
people.
Daley. I have I have no knowledge, but I just made that up.
Yeah.
But it's making my point, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I believed it. You shouldn't have told me that.
Oh, I know what he looks like. I mean, come on. Rahm Emanuel, that guy? He's
tiny.
He's like 4'6".
He's tiny.
Seriously.
He's little.
Yeah.
He's a little guy.
He's just running around. You could kick him.
He's tiny.
Yeah. Punt him like a football. This is all I'm saying.
Yeah. We'll keep saying it, Dan.
So yeah.
You now have
Clearly Lincoln.
You now have a microphone.
Lincoln is
and
not.
I suggest that you just tell blatant lies with it.
You heard it here first, folks.
That's
Lincoln
what
is
I want
not
you to do
from
with your
Illinois.
microphone.
Lincoln is not from Illinois, and he didn't chop down that cherry tree either.
He didn't?
No.
No, I'm almost positive he did.
Okay, I'll give you that one. Lincoln chopped down the cherry tree.
Lincoln chopped down the cherry tree and made a cabin out of it,
Right.
which he lived in outside of Indianapolis.
And you remember
Just outside of Indianapolis.
And you remember the story about how he walked like 10 miles or something to deliver that lady's change to her when he was working at the store?
That's a good one. Also, he appeared
totally...
to Peter on the Via Appia outside of Rome at one point. But that's...
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
That's their TV, right?
What?
The Via Appia, that's a TV.
That's a TV, yeah.
It's like that was their flat screen.
The Appian way.
The Roman flat screen is what I like to call the Via Appia.
It was straight.
Yeah.
It was, I mean...
Yeah. Because it's a flat screen.
Crazy, yeah.
Where people appear to you.
On the Via Appia.
Outside
of Rome. But anyways, I don't know why I went there. But all right. Well, do we have anything else, Dan? Or should we bid our
listeners,
our listener
a fondue,
a fond farewell, a fondue?
I bid you all a fondue.
I like that. I like fondue.
It's good.
Little...
Oh, you know how I wanted to end at least one of our episodes?
What's that?
It might turn into a regular thing. You never know.
What's that?
I wish we had music for this.
Well, we'll add music.
Okay, we'll add some music in. Here it comes. Again we leave you from within the shadows of the everlasting hills. May peace be with you this day and always. That might be copyrighted.